Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful Overbooked. It's 10 a.m. and it's time to get in the weeds. And it's a really big day because the Warner Upfronts are literally happening right now. So myself, Jeremy Lambert, who I assume is doing well, just say yes or no. Great. Jeremy Lambert's doing well. And our guest today is the one and only, well, you know, the formerly birthday boy, Andrew Zarian. We're going to ride that train until the wheels come off.
It's my birthday month.
My
birthday month. It's my final year of my 30s, boys. So
right.
not enjoying it.
Oh, come on. It'd be worse. Listen, you're here. You're with us. So, yeah, you know what? It's actually pretty bad.
Yeah. And also, by the way, for you, Joel, I even was able to manage to unbutton my T-shirt today for you.
That's wonderful. If they send in super chats, will you consider ripping the shirt a little more to give some more?
Look at this. Here you go.
No, we need money. We need money first. Don't give away the goods for free, Andrew Zarian. What are we doing?
That's been my problem for a long time. I'm giving away everything for free and not monetizing on anything.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I guess we should just get right into it, shouldn't we? The upfronts are happening now. Warner Bros Discovery Upfronts at, is it the Hulu Theater in New York?
Yes.
Yeah, the Hulu Theater, the next to the Garden. It's like the theater at the Garden, they used to call it too.
Wonderful. So AEW will be having their announced shows and new deals made. I mean, shoot, where do we start? Jeremy, where do we start with this whole thing? There's a lot on the table.
I mean, we'll get the official details here in moments, but I'm going to start by just asking Zarian. Collision is basically expected out of this. Anything else that we're expecting from this? Because I just saw Brandon Thurston mention, like, hey, maybe temper expectations. It might just be Collision. So what are your expectations for this announcement, Andrew?
I was always told it was Collision about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I think the rumblings happened that they would probably announce the new deal as well. Dave had reported it, and did Sean report that the deal would also be announced soon as well, or no? I can't remember.
I think he did. I'll look this up to
but
confirm. I don't want to
listen. If it's the upfronts, you know who it's for. You're pitching it to, I guess, the sales teams and advertisers, and you're introducing a new show. You're also going to bring up Dynamite. You're going to show statistics and things like that. We might get more information on their new deal. I would imagine that I don't know much about these deals, but I would say that you would want to kind of bundle everything together, right? You're not just piecing it in a contract year. You're just piecing another show and maybe not capitalizing on the most that you can for both sides. So I would imagine that the deal would be done. A lot of people were speculating that the video game would be announced. I was always told second quarter. We still have 6 weeks for the quarter to end. But the Collision story is the big one because, it changes a lot of stuff within AEW. I think CM Punk would maybe be announced tonight if this is it. Because, listen, here's the other thing, right? You got to sell tickets to these shows. We know that the Chicago show's happening. We know the one in Canada is happening. But outside of that, we really don't have any information. Tickets have not gone on sale for the Chicago show. You're going to have to start rolling this out. I don't know how soon, but I would imagine within days you're going to hear about Punk.
Yeah, that's been the big question is does Punk show up at the upfronts today, or does he show up on AEW programming and you make that the big deal?
I'm going to guess, and I'm going to say he's not showing up at anything until Chicago. And you'll just have maybe either a vague comment alluding to Punk showing up, or they say to return of CM Punk in Chicago. Hear what he has to say or something,
I believe we are contractually obligated to call it the second coming.
Yes, with Christ Jericho headlining.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I want to clarify on what Sean said. So this is the report he put out this morning. It said Collision is going to be announced imminently in conjunction with the upfronts. We haven't heard that Dynamite has also been extended, but we did note recently that Collision will see a big cash infusion for AEW. There's been a lot of reported numbers out there, anywhere from $1 billion to $250 million. It's been kind of all over the place. Did we just raise expectations exponentially with $1 billion. And now if it's not $1 billion, people are going to be calling this deal a failure, Andrew?
I think they're dumb if they are calling it a failure if it's not $1 billion. I think these are people that have no concept of how these deals work. If they do get $1 billion, I think I'm more curious as to the assessment of value of that $1 billion. The $1 billion thing came out of nowhere. I mean, this is when we were kind of, I think, Joel, I told you this too, months and months ago. Like the $100 million a year mark was something that was, aimed for. But that's without a second show. So if you add a second show and you're getting $100 million a year per show, that's $200 million a year for 5 years. There you go. There's your $1 billion. So it is a reality. It's possible. But I don't think it's a negative if they're not getting, $200 million a year for their product. I think if they're close to it, I think it's a success. I think any kind of growth is showing a success. TV rights are nutty. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason why you're paying out. A lot of times these are loss leaders. And the NFL is a great example of how much money the NFL gets with TV rights. And it's not only for creating revenue during the programming, it's also bringing in the revenue to other programming that follows. So your ad opportunities grow before and after the product, and the fact that you could say, I have the NFL. I don't think that's the case with AEW here. I think Warner knows the importance of having first-run live programming. That's 160 something times a year. It's a very unique product that caters to a sought-out demo. So if they get $200 million a year, I think that's fantastic. If they're shy of it a little, I think that's fine too. I think to put a number and say it's a failure is it's just people that really don't know the business talking.
Sorry, I was trying to collect my thoughts for a second.
Sorry.
No.
Do you want me to keep talking? I'll keep talking.
No,
I
knew you would.
filibustering.
That's the problem. By the way, a lot of what Jeremy was reporting, that's on Fightful Select. So you go to FightfulSelect.com.
Yes.
There's a lot more to it, including some news on potential brand split, if it's going to be hard or soft. At Fightful, we do like things hard, but we'll find out what the AEW.
But you know what, though? Here's something else, right? Sorry, I had to get this thought out, right?
Oh, go ahead.
If streaming is involved, right, and you get that $1 billion, everybody's saying, well, that makes a lot of sense. If streaming is not involved and you get that $1 billion, what does it mean, right? Is it a failure if streaming is involved and you still get that $100 million a year, considering that was kind of an unofficial goal per show or for the show for Dynamite? There's a way that they're assessing this. I don't have it. I don't have their P&Ls. Neither does anybody else that's commenting on this. Maybe Will Washington could talk about this a little bit. He's in that on that table now. So I think it's a little silly when we start, saying it's a failure or not failure. I think it's a failure if they get $48 million or if it's a lateral move. Yeah, I think, you want to see growth, but regardless, you're going to see growth here. You're not going to get the same amount of money to produce, 2 shows or even equivalent to what they were getting adding another show.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was gonna say that we're just basically all waiting for the official details to come out. It should be here any second. But let's talk about something we might not know for a few weeks, maybe even a few months. The brand split thing, because it's been hard, it's been soft. It seems like now the latest thing is it will be kind of more of a hard brand split. This is from Sean, Fightful Select. Andrew, I think you've had details on this as well. Like, it seems like right now it's going to be more or less a relatively hard split. Champions might be going back and forth and everything, but they're going to try to keep the rosters separated. What have you heard about this and your thoughts on what they're going to do with this brand split?
I'm getting information from the upfronts here. Here we go. Yeah, I'm just getting images. Nothing crazy yet. I've
seen Jade Cargill is TBS. That's yeah. That one.
The initial report that I had was that it was a split. Then I reported that it was a soft split because that's what it was said. It's like, it's not as hard as people are saying it is. This is really turning into a Blue Chew ad that I didn't want it to turn into. So I kind of flip-flopped on that. And then when I reported that it was a soft split, I think I was on We're Live Pal just at that moment. somebody messaged me. He's like, it's not as soft as you're putting out there. So I don't know if this is just mixed messages or they've gone back and forth. Obviously, they're going to go back and forth on this, and obviously they're going to change their minds depending on, how they structure this. But, there should be somewhat of a hard split for certain guys. I think if you're a Miro, for example, or an Andrade, you will benefit from being on one show every single week that you could kind of work your TV a little bit more. I think for other guys like MJF, they benefit from having him on both shows, FTR, the Bucks, whatever it is, I don't believe CM Punk is only on one show. I think they're going to utilize him on both shows, depending on how they do the logistics of this. I'm still gonna go with somewhere in the middle, right? I think that's the answer here. It's some people will be on specific brands, and they should be, because the point of the show originally, before the whole CM Punk fiasco, was to get at least an hour of TV for guys that you are not, or girls that you're not seeing regularly every week. So, and then now it kind of makes sense, right? You killed off Dark Elevation, you killed off Dark. That was always part of the plan. And you were going to probably move a lot of this talent to this 1 hour show that you were going to put on Saturdays. And that grew into a 2 hour, fiasco. That's, SmackDown and Raw now.
I'll read a super chat from Chi-Town Spurs saying, does the hard brand split include the women's division? Seems like that would stretch the roster out. You have to assume that the women's division's involved. There are 2 women's champions. There are a lot of women on that roster. Not all of them are seeing weekly television, but this is an opportunity for them to potentially get more on TV.
Well, Jade should be specifically on TBS, right?
Absolutely.
She's a TBS champion. So she's one that I would say should only stay on Dynamite.
Hell, according to the upfront, she is TBS. There is an image here. You know what? You guys keep talking. I'm going to pull this image. I'm going to post it.
She is TBS.
Yeah, she's featured on the TBS graphic. Connor McDavid is featured on the TNT graphic. They did not go basketball on that. As far as, I'll answer Chi-Town Spurs question here as Joel pulls that up, and then I'll let Andrew answer. There it is. Look at that. See, Jade Carter. She's the TBS champion. She's the only TBS champion. They've had that title for about 5 years now, and she's never lost it.
If you were to show that photo and you're like, who's the biggest star in this photo? It's her. There's nobody bigger than her. Look, just look at her.
We're not going to disrespect Connor McDavid. We're not doing that.
I'm sorry.
I do kind of wish they had a photo of her with the TBS championship. I know she's holding it in the photo, but like visibly in that photo. Yeah, that would have been really neat. But anyway, sorry, continue, Jeremy. You were about to make a point about Jade.
I have no idea who any of these other people are in this graphic, by the way, as I look at it. No earthly idea. They should have had the mom from MILF Manor on the TLC.
I agree with you, Jeremy. 100%.
As far as the women's roster go, I do think there should be some specifics to that. Largely when it comes to, Jade Cargill, TBS, I think, and then, make the women's championship maybe exclusive to TNT. And I kind of think maybe you do that the same thing with the world title. If you're not going to do 2 world titles, add some value to the single championships. But with the women, the roster's a little bit more thin. I imagine they'll get a little bit of influx in there. I hope they kind of keep that separated too, though, just for more story purposes of like, I don't need to see Britt Baker stuff dominate both shows. And that's, just use Britt Baker as an example. Britt Baker, Outcast, Originals. I don't need that on both shows. Get it on one show and then put other women on the other show and go from there. So I would like to see it be kind of a hard split with the women as well. How about you, Andrew?
I don't know. I got to look at that roster because, there is something to be said about Jade only being on one show, and then having certain storylines possibly bleed over to the other show. There is something to be said about that, but I'm curious what they mean by the split. I think once we find out what a hard split or medium split or whatever they're planning on doing actually becomes a thing, I will get a better idea. Their roster is not as deep, but they do have a lot of talent. And it seems like everybody's just doing trios and tag matches. And this has been a problem that I've had for a while in AEW, right? You want to get these people on TV, and that's part of it. I would, if I'm going to guess something, I'm going to guess that some of these trios matches go away a little bit. And now we have specific people that are trios. Like Alistair should not be in a trios match every week. I don't agree with that because Malachi, I'm so sorry. Wrong name. I don't think, he's a guy that you could utilize as a singles, but it's very difficult to do when you only have 2 hours to do this in front of a mass audience. But now that you have another one, you're going to split this, and maybe you'll get a lot more singles matches, and, him and Punk could be in a program, which would be unbelievable to see. It's a very unique opportunity that they have, and these don't come around too often, and this is going to totally change how this company is structured and how matches are done and how stories are told. It's a restart, and I think it's a positive for them.
So a lot of people have talked about Peacock having WWE Network being an anchor for Peacock Network. There's talk about AEW programming moving to Max, maybe next day or whatever it may be. Is that something that you think would anchor down Max, or do they have stronger content that already anchors them down?
For Max themselves?
For Max themselves. And again, nothing's official. I'm just putting it out there, if there is something in the works with Max and AEW.
I know that those conversations happen regularly and have been happening regularly, but I don't know where they're at this point. I don't know what the capability of Max is when it comes to archiving a show like AEW. I don't know how their live streaming capabilities are, their pay-per-view aspect is. These are a lot of questions that the service is just they don't have the answer to yet. So, but AEW's original programming for Turner, for Warner Media, and obviously they're proud of it. They're presenting it at the Upfronts. Jade, we were talking about this. Jade is presented in the image. If they didn't believe that this is an intricate part of their brand and their lineup, then I don't think she would be there. With that said, they need to be on Max. You need to start archiving this, and I think that's just a contractual thing that they're dealing with now. Where is the next day programming for? Actually, in Canada, where is your next day programming?
So everything is actually shown live through the Rogers Sportsnet app for WWE specifically.
Okay.
And then you can grab it almost immediately on replay. Hell, I can go back and because it's all streamed, right? You can watch it on TV or you can watch it on the Sportsnet app. And that's how I mostly consume my WWE product is through that app. And I can get immediate replay.
And how about for AEW?
For AEW, as far as I know, it's on TSN, which is the Bell-owned network. Rogers owns Sportsnet. They own Bell is owned by TSN. Yeah. So I know Rampage has been a pain in the butt in terms of like getting streaming on Canada, but I'm pretty sure with Dynamite, it's on the TSN Go app. If it's not next day, I'm not 100% sure. John Pollock would know.
John Pollock. Actually, I have him coming on Wrestling Observer Live in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, because most of the way that I watch AEW Dynamite is through a VPN and then through AEW.
Okay. So I mean that's a problem, right? It's married to the station. There's no central hub for people to go to, and I think Max will be the solution for it. It's not BR, and we saw that it's not BR because we saw this was their first attempt with the firm deletion to incorporate everything under the Warner umbrella, right? They put it on BR because they don't have anywhere else to put it. And then they realized the mistake here. When you go into the BR app, there's no archive of that show. So you couldn't put on the app and watch it. You had to watch it through somebody sending you a link or posting a link and clicking on it. So they put it on the AEW YouTube after that. So I think whatever happened here benefited them regarding Warner seeing like, oh, okay, we do need to put this somewhere that it's really easily accessible to people. I would imagine that there's going to be a streaming deal. I don't know when they announce it. I don't know if it's now or when that contract is signed or, later this year. But that would make the most sense. How does it not? There's synergy, there's obvious corporate synergy. You might as well incorporate it in your streaming platform as well.
A lot of clarification in the chat when it comes to the streaming deal. People saying Dynamite airs live on TSN, TSN Go airs Rampage live, and then the AEW back catalog is there as well. So, and Drew says Bleacher Report is awful. Contact Chris Mueller about that. He'll fix it. Don't worry.
But even the BR experiment, not experiment, but the BR deal has put a lot of sour tastes in mouths. And a Max deal, or at least another streaming platform, would potentially, help.
Yeah. BR was a Band-Aid. It always was. From the beginning, it was a Band-Aid because Warner, they didn't have an avenue to air whatever they wanted to air. and it just they stuck with it until this contract was over. So now they need to figure out what their future is. There's no other pay-per-views on BR. I'm very curious what their viewership and ordering process is for non-AEW products. I can't imagine it's tremendous.
I think this is the big news coming out of the upfronts.
Oh, ain't that great?
Oh, he's gonna own the new AEW.
That's the owner of AEW.
When you want to talk about dreams and dreaming audacious, I mean, who's accomplished more dreams than Jeff Jarrett? Nobody in wrestling has done more in the dream and the reality department than Jeff Jarrett. So this is the real news coming out of the upfronts.
I dreaded hearing that theme, and now that's all I want to hear.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Look at that. Look at the Jeff Jarrett chats. Look at this. Yeah, throw a bree woo in the chat for Double J.
Bunch of my worlds.
My world.
Oh God, so good.
Finally, he's selling out stadiums. Unbelievable.
That man, honest to God, is like he is a manifestation board of himself. Like he just everything he does just exists and happens.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's absolutely wild. So we're kind of just waiting on anything official, but I don't know. The Collision seems like a great opportunity for a lot of growth in AEW, and obviously Warner Brothers has some belief in the AEW product, as shown by this and potentially new deals. I think it'd be strange to say that this new deal isn't a success for AEW, unless something is like.
We also have to think about what's going on with the NBA and Warner Media. That's a big story here because, we heard, I guess it was a new CEO months ago said something along the lines of they don't need the NBA. A lot of people attribute that to a contract negotiation tactic of saying like, hey, we don't need you. You're asking too much. I'm very curious if that's playing a part in this contract and how much AEW gets as well.
When it comes, that's why I mentioned Connor McDavid being on the TNT graphic and not, anybody from the NBA, because look, that's a big property for TNT and Turner. They air all the NBA games. They got the playoffs going on and everything. And if they feel they're going to lose that could be beneficial to AEW to have that live sports. I mean, we're getting Collision on Saturday nights. NBA doesn't air on TNT on Saturday nights. I believe they'll air like a primetime game on ESPN or ABC. But if they are, losing that property, that's typically Thursdays and Tuesdays. Like, do they have some AEW content to replace that? I know they don't want to do anything with like ROH, but some dark offshoot of just, hey, here's some archive stuff we can run on a Thursday night since we don't have the NBA anymore. Yeah. I think if they do lose the NBA, it could benefit AEW.
And what an interesting, you brought up ROH, and I find it interesting that the speculation and the idea that, well, you have Dynamite and that's their flagship, and you have Rampage and that's their secondary thing that they do, and then you have Ring of Honor and that could be their developmental, and you put that on TV, and that conversation is gone, and it I don't know if it has to do with the fact of brand recognition of what Ring of Honor is, what it can be, what it should be, them not being involved in AEW content exclusively on Warner, except for Ring of Honor, excluding Ring of Honor, is very interesting to me.
They should just rename ROH as AEW ROH. That way the AEW is on there. It's like WWE NXT. No one like really calls it WWE NXT.
But the turnbuckles are WWE.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's still like a WWE property, but everyone just calls it NXT. So just call it AEW ROH. Everybody would just keep calling it ROH.
I don't know why they're not as committed to that, but I don't know if that was what Tony's plan was with that. The Ring of Honor thing has been very interesting to me. Very interesting.
Hear me out. The R in ROH now stands for Ring Ka King of Honor.
Stop it.
Jeff Jarrett show.
Jeff Jarrett.
We need 6 sides. We need 6 sides.
Oh, if they do that though,
We're
they do
tapping
that.
the market. We're getting somewhere here. Don't give me the, oh God, he's going to say something stupid. I said something fantastic.
No, you still said something stupid, but
Entertaining
I do like the
stuff.
6 sides. We got to bring back 6 sides. Our ring has 6 sides. They should do that for Dark and Dark Elevation when they renew that, or if they ever bring that back. There was 6 sides. If you can work in a 6-sided ring, you can work in a 4-sided ring. Let's talk about the logo here, Andrew. We got it in our thumbnail. Sean posted it. Big WCW Monday Night Nitro vibes. What can you tell us about this logo?
Pull it. Do you have it there?
Give me a second. I'll pause.
Okay. All right.
Do your job, Joel Pearl.
So the logo that Sean posted is an older version of the logo.
Apologies for the pixelation, but here we go.
Yeah. Sean did his crop special over there. Whose shoulder is that? So I saw this, and there were numerous versions of this. This was the earliest one I had seen. It slowly blended. Joel, you saw something, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I've
you
seen
saw
a few
something.
things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more polished than that, the image, but I absolutely love it. It is 100% an homage to the old Nitro logo, even down to the TNT logo being yellow and orange, which is not something that's used too often. I absolutely love it. I would say that it's branding wise, great. Absolutely love it. I'm very into it.
I
think it's fantastic for fantastic for nostalgia feels. I mean, that's what people wanted. What didn't they have? Didn't they brand AEW Nitro? Didn't they get a trademark for that? I feel like you just
did
said something, Joel. Oh, that looks cool. Yeah.
Yes.
I do like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up the trademarks, but I feel like they did something like similar to that, and that was what everyone thought with like Dynamite. Oh, it's gonna be very Nitro-esque vibes, and they, in some ways, yes, in other ways, no. Like with this logo, though, definitely going for the Nitro, like '90s, early Nitro,
and that's
day
great. Listen,
vibes.
it's hitting on a nostalgia vibe, and it's a very clean, good-looking logo. The other thing, what is this show? How do you separate it from Dynamite? Is it going to be just Dynamite Part 2 and it's just another show that you're just putting on matches and continuing? Or are you going to have a different feel to it? I was told it's like how Raw and SmackDown, if you were to compare it to anything. I don't know what exactly that means to them. Is SmackDown more wrestling at this point than Raw is? Is Raw more storytelling? I don't know that may have been true a while ago. I don't know if that's still true. So I don't know how they're going to do this, but it's a very unique time in the industry. You don't get this this doesn't happen too often. That we're sitting here on a 10 a.m. podcast during Upfronts to talk about the debut of a new wrestling show. I've never done that. I did that with Dynamite, but I've never. I mean, this is something new that we haven't had in 20 years.
And this is arguably more fun than the Dynamite one.
This is far more fun than the Dynamite one.
Okay, just making sure. I need to rub my ego every once in a while.
This is far more fun. I was actually in my kitchen watching it, and I was loaded watching the that AEW announcement.
Oh, I was going to say watching one of our old shows. Then again, you know what? One thing I love about that throwback Collision logo is the potential for at one point they'll try a throwback branded show, and I would love to see diamond plate AEWs on either side, like the old Nitro sets.
Oh, nice.
I think they might try to do that, and I think that would look so
just metal cutouts.
Yeah, just so badass. I would love to see that. I don't know if they would. I don't know if there's some sort of like design or IP that WWE could be like, no, we own it because it's WCW. But like, if there is nothing in place that stops them from doing it, that would be so much fun.
Yeah, I don't know, unique set. I don't what color ropes. We saw that they went back to black ropes on Dynamite, which thank God. I hated the AEW Live from France look.
That's right.
But maybe they're gonna put those ropes on this show. Maybe it was a test to see if people like it. I don't know.
It'd be red, yellow, and white? Red, yellow, and black. Then it would be the Hulk Hogan show. And
Maybe just do red. Just do red.
Yeah, just do red ropes. Yeah,
like old Nitro.
Old Nitro.
Yeah.
And
Tony loves 96 Nitro.
And do blue ropes for Dynamite, like Thunder.
I actually, when I
Did
leave
Thunder
the show,
have blue ropes?
One time they did.
I'm actually going out to lunch with a couple people that are at the Scrum because I get off right at Penn Station, which is at MSG. So I'm like, I'm just going to grab lunch with these guys and maybe get them a little loaded during lunch with a couple martinis and get some information.
My boy.
Thunder did have blue ropes. I will confirm that the Thunder at some point had blue ropes. Yeah, red ropes for one, blue ropes for the other.
What do you guys see of the negative of having a second show? Do you think it's a negative? It's more of a positive or more of a negative for them?
It comes down to the creative and how it's dispersed. And I've mentioned this on so many shows. If Tony is the be-all, end-all of the creative vision, and there is nobody else to whom he trusts or turns to live out his vision, the burnout is still a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be true. And I know there's a lot of pushback being like, he does this, he does that, he does this. Well, now you can still. He's Sting. He's doing everything.
He does this, he does that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But at the same time, there are people on his team that he could potentially turn to, assuming he trusts them enough to impart his vision to carry out whatever Dynamite is supposed to be that week, or whatever Collision is supposed to be. Whatever it is, there has to be some sort of division of labor that not only stops any burnout from happening, but also continues to deliver a cohesive AEW product that he sees in his head. That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna echo Joel and basically say, it could just be too much. I think people overreact way too much to the ratings and the numbers and things like that, but there's no denying that viewership, in terms of overall viewership, is down from last year. Point to whatever reason you want to point to for that. But if you're going to add another show and another show that you want to make meaningful, okay, do people now, I'm only going to watch Rampage because my favorites are on this show. I'm only going to watch Dynamite because my favorites are on this show. Like, do you almost cut into your own viewership here? Yeah. Because the AEW fan base is very loyal and largely a hardcore fan base who they have their favorites and they're going to tune in to watch them. And on Dynamite, most weeks you get your favorites on that show. But now if they're only on that show and there's none on Rampage, all right, are we going to watch Rampage? If they're all on Dynamite, or if they're all on, Collision, if they're all on Collision, okay, do I need to watch Dynamite? So I think that could be an issue, is you might just almost cut into your own fan base of dividing them if you do separate the roster in a certain way. So you got to balance it out in that. And then yes, creatively, you got to make both shows meaningful now. And they did that for a little while with Rampage, where it's like, oh, they're both kind of A shows, or 1 and 2, or 1A, 1B type of thing. Now Rampage it's there. It exists. Collision, you got to make this another 1A show alongside Dynamite. And you got to keep it up when it comes to creative and making it meaningful week after week. And when you're trying to do everything Tony is doing, which is a lot, how quickly does that become kind of a burnout for him if he doesn't have other people and plans in place?
And also viewership burnout, right? How many hours do you have to dedicate to
talk about that
wrestling?
Yeah. Jeremy,
this is my life. This is my life, Andrew Zarian.
We are the exception. I have no minute to spare anymore. But I still, I force myself because I have to. I have to see it because I have to talk about it, and it's part of it. It's a job. But if you're just, maybe a little bit more than a casual fan, how many hours are you dedicating to this? And at the end of the day, I'll watch. I love the Mets, and if they're on and I got nothing going on, I'm watching. But I can't watch every Mets game. It's impossible. People are gonna have to decide. SmackDown, Raw, Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor.
And on
everything
a Saturday
else.
night. Yeah, and on a Saturday night too. Like depending on the time slot, if it is 8 to 10, people not only have plans on a Saturday night, there's heavy competition on a Saturday night, especially during college football season. Even during basketball season, they put games on prime time basketball. They have primetime games on for the MLB as well. Like they are gonna have more competition on a Saturday night than they typically do on a Thursday, where okay, you might get an off NBA game, you might get an off like once football starts, you get the Thursday game, but that's on just basically Amazon.
Yeah.
They're on Wednesdays, so it does
pay-per-views.
You get the NBA and pay-per-views is another big thing.
You got UFC. You got UFC every month. You got fight nights, right? You got fight nights. You got boxing every, Saturdays.
You got WWE.
You got WWE. You have a ton of competition, but you know what? These are guys, Tony's analytical. Maybe he's looked at the analytics and he's discovered, or he believes that his audience really doesn't tune in to those other programs when they're on. Maybe he has that in his back pocket and Warner knows it too. Here's the thing about Warner. That time slot on TNT, they don't make the top 50. So they're looking at this as a win because they're going to get over 500,000 people guaranteed that tune into this thing. I mean, it's a tragedy if not, but if they're getting 750,000 viewers on a Saturday every single week, I think that's a solid number.
It's also
that's great.
It's also a show that could potentially do well in the DVR numbers, right? Get up to plus.
It will,
and it will. Yeah. So Luis Silberwasser is up now. He's the chairman and CEO of Warner Bros Discovery Sports, and the ad sales Twitter just tweeted out his little opening spiel. So they're getting to the sports part of their upfront. So any minute we'll have the Collision announcement and what's going on with AEW and Warner Bros Discovery. So keep that up.
Yeah, this is it's a live watch along. I used to do these for the Apple events
when I did PLEs and pay-per-views.
Yeah, I can't do those anymore.
Neither can
I died. That Andrew's dead. I think.
What show was that?
Where's your dedication?
Do you remember that, Joel?
Zarian?
I do. You were done. I remember the next episode of Mad Men that you and Rich were doing. You were just like, I can never do that again.
I can never do it again.
It may have been Extreme Rules, like 2021.
Yeah, those watch-alongs ruined my liver and and my sanity, my reputation.
So while we're waiting, this was a quote from Silberwasser. Because we focus on premium sports, we are able to connect with fans better than anyone else through powerful storytelling, authentic talent, and by uniquely embracing the intersection of sports and culture. Sounds a bit like wrestling to me, among other sports that are out there.
More AEW All Access is what I'm hearing out of that.
Yes, the entire show is just going to be all access for 2 hours.
Well, I'll tell you this. I know that people at Warner Discovery very much are interested in non-wrestling content, non-wrestling show content, meaning not live wrestling, with AEW personalities.
So,
you know what you know what we need, and I've been pitching this online and on the shows for a while. A dinner and a movie. Bring that back.
That was huge. That was huge in the WCW days. I remember it always taped. It always taped when I was taping Nitro.
Yeah,
they had dinner and a movie always taping afterwards.
Why not do something like that? It's a very unique. I mean, I love that kind of content. That like late 90s, early 2000s. Like we're just throwing something at the wall. Like USA Up All Night, another bizarro show. That's what we need. We need Danhausen hosting like horror films.
We just need
on
Eddie
Turner.
Kingston. Just Eddie Kingston. I don't care what he does. Just Eddie Kingston just giving his thoughts on topics. Just throw something at him and he just gives his thoughts. Like when he cut the promo on the cookie. Like that's what we need.
So I almost went into my Eddie Kingston impersonation.
I almost did it too.
But it turns into Tracy Morgan.
Yonkers.
All right.
Yonkers.
Here's the press release for Collision.
Okay, it's out.
Yes, TNT launches the second night of wrestling with AEW Collision, featuring headliners Thunder Rosa, Miro, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Andrade El Idolo, Saturday, June 17th. So there you go. There's who's going to be part of the show off top.
There's
there.
Andrade.
No mention. Yes, there's Andrade. No mention of CM Punk, at least in this particular press release. The president of Turner says we're doubling down on wrestling with AEW Collision, which gives fans 2 more hours every week. It does start every Saturday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. So there you go. There's your time slot, 8 to 10 on Saturday nights. Tony Khan says, with the addition of Collision on TNT, I'm extremely proud that the Turner Network will be the home of Saturday Night Wrestling for the first time in more than 2 decades. The debut of Collision is significant across numerous sectors, including television, wrestling, entertainment, and sports, and reinforces AEW as the bold property we envisioned when we launched in 2019. Collision will deliver live every Saturday night. So there you go. If you were wondering if it was going to be taped, at least for now, says it's going to be live every Saturday night. More of what the fans want and viewers tell us they want: athleticism, big personalities, exciting storylines, and hard-hitting wrestling action, all of which have become synonymous with AEW. So I guess the big things off of that: live, 2 hours, 8 to 10. And we know Miro, Joe, Rosa, Hobbs, and Andrade are basically going to be the top people on this show to start with until CM Punk is announced, whenever CM Punk is announced. So thoughts on the official announcement here, Zarian?
So I'm looking at this roster, and it's exactly what I was told regarding the roster, minus MJF and Orange here, because they're the champions. But I will give this little tidbit here. I expect Hobbs to be presented in a top position. And
he's part of the press release.
He's part of the press release. I expect him to be in a top heel position in the company, and this is part of the concept here, right? Like, you need to. Hobbs is going to get lost on Dynamite. Add all this plus everybody else, you get lost. So if you have.
Sorry.
he already is. Stop and go. Alistair's another one. I brought up Alistair before. I'd love to see him and Punk in a match. I didn't say that for no reason, but we're gonna see these things, and it's another opportunity to highlight guys. Samoa Joe is fascinating, right?
Mimosa Joe being on top of this thing is not only interesting, but it certainly adds credence to a Fightful Select report about CM Punk's potential first match back.
Yeah. Very. I would imagine that would be one of his first matches. This would be their fourth encounter. Tony could do a great job at selling that.
What happens to the Ring of Honor Television Championship? Does it go to somebody else and then they run the program? It's a month out, so they could get the title off of him. Or do they make it old school and just say, just like the old times, for the Ring of Honor, blah, 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 CM Punk and Samoa Joe?
Was the TV title a thing when Punk was in Ring of Honor?
Ooh, I don't think it was the Peer title. I think they had the Peer title.
They had the Peer title. Yeah. He
could
say, he's like, I never had that title. I want it.
Here's the logo and the poster here. So that's the official logo.
That is the official logo.
Then, and then you can see who is on there. So as Andrew mentioned, MJF and Orange Cassidy there because they're the champions. Otherwise, you have the people mentioned in the press release, which is Joe, Rosa, Hobbs, Andrade, Miro, but then you also have FTR and House of Black, who were not mentioned specifically in the headline of the press release, but they are part of the poster.
Yeah.
How's it? Like, it's a TNT show, right? And then we got the international champion on there. We don't even have the TNT champion listed here in this press release or on this poster right here. This show's on TNT.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yet.
I mean, yeah, I guess, the TNT title they love switching that belt around, and Wardlow, his run is what it is so far. Powerhouse Hobbs wins his TNT title tonight. There you go, everybody.
I mean, it could be as easy as that. They really could just do it like that. By the way, this is the from the TNT drama Twitter. That's
what I sent Joel.
That I was sent.
Yeah.
So it looks good. Honestly, I'm looking forward to the branding. I'm looking forward to how it looks. This is exciting news.
I'll give you another tidbit. I don't believe there's a secondary title. However, they are going to update the world title.
I mean, right
Oh.
now the world title has Burberry.
Burberry.
Has
Yeah.
Burberry on it. Yeah,
You're gonna have to do something.
I was told that there is a revised version being made.
Every champion gets a new belt. That's just the AEW way. They're doing it with the trios titles. They just did.
Not alluding that he's losing that title. I'm
No.
not saying that he is. I'm just saying that I know that there's some changes to be made to that title.
Bigger AEW logo.
Just bigger. Just an A. Just do an A.
It's the scarlet letter of pro wrestling.
Yeah, great looking logo.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm
Yeah,
looking
it
forward.
does
Looking
look
forward to
great.
this.
Yeah.
People asking Punk, Max streaming, nothing announced on that front. And we mentioned it top of the show. And I'll say it here again. Brandon Thurston, who is an expert of things of this nature, as I've branded him, he even said like maybe temper expectations on like stuff like that. Just expect the Collision announcement, and then we'll see what happens from there. I don't think they were really ever going to give a monetary value, at least in the press release.
Well, this isn't Tony's announcement.
Yeah. Well,
right?
they said they would follow up on it on Dynamite. I think Tony might have more about it on Dynamite. I don't think Tony has like this is where it comes of announcement of litigation here. But I don't think Tony has an actual announcement tonight. I could be wrong, but I think it's like we're going to have more about it, which could legitimately just be re-announcing the announcement and reaffirming things.
I would think that tonight we get either a blatant he's back or they allude to his return. The second coming.
Yeah.
The second coming.
The second coming.
By the way, I have to point this out. Variety sent out the press release in the article, and they spelt it Collison, just like the original misspelt trademark.
Stop it.
It's not in the article. It's in the headline and in the tweet.
Stop it.
They have not taken it down. That's why I was.
They pre-wrote this thing. They pre-wrote this thing months ago.
They clearly did. And it's still like the headlines is Collison, the tweets is Collison. This is just that's phenomenal. Everything else is Collision, but like just fair game, good stuff.
So now the big question is, okay, so how do you maneuver this show? Because you're gonna have to put Kenny on the show. You're gonna have to put the Bucks on the show. I think it's nonsense if you don't. You're cutting unless they think that splitting it will grow the audience. I would imagine you want everybody, all hands on deck. Don't make the same mistake WWE did in 2002. Because I have to tell you, I checked out. 2003, right?
The original WWE draft?
Yeah, the split.
2002.
Late 2002.
It was just after WrestleMania 18.
No. Was it? Was it?
WrestleMania 18 was in Toronto. Yes, I remember distinctly waiting for the draft and being like, I hope that the SmackDown in Ottawa is not going to
yes.
SmackDown stars.
2002.
I love Zarian. Just like, no. Just matter of fact, like, no.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
It was March 25th. It was March 25th.
You know what was happening in my head? I swear to God, I was having visions of Hogan in that bear hug and then Mr. America. And I'm like, what year am I in?
05.
I'm in 05? Holy moly, I jumped ahead. But you know what? That does speak volumes. That does speak volumes. Like, I missed a lot of that, the SmackDown 6 stuff. Because I was so mad that they split this roster because I like to watch Raw, and then I would occasionally, because it was Friday, do you curse on this show?
Yeah.
We're 49 minutes in, I should hope so.
All right. I was a shithead 18-year-old. I was out every Friday night, so I would never watch it. And I was like, I don't want to watch it. It's preempted, it's pre-recorded. I kind of fell out of it, and I was never watching SmackDown until I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much better than Raw, but it took me a while. And by the time I came into SmackDown, it was getting terrible again. It was like the Dolph Ziggler era.
Oh, Dolph Ziggler.
No knock at Dolph. I'm not knocking Dolph. It's when they had random world champions on that show.
Oh man, that's sad. Poor Dolph. He's still trying.
Crazy longevity.
People are making fun of AEW for just tweeting out the press release here when it wasn't officially announced at the upfronts. Look, man, they told everybody 10 o'clock. These people at the upfronts are just yammering on about God knows what. They're like, look, we got to get these news out there so we can hit before the noon news dump here. So give AEW a break. It's their story. Let them break their own news. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, sorry, guys. Sorry, AEW.
Yeah.
It's not like we didn't know about this news.
I started ruining this in March.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think Joel, I told you're one of the first people I told.
Oh yeah?
Why do you tell Joel anything?
I tell Joel everything. You have no idea how much stuff Joel knows.
Very strange. I don't know what happened. At some point I showed up at SummerSlam in Vegas without a ticket, and I ended up with Andrew and everyone.
With some famous people.
Yeah. And then I introduced you to fame. Well, not introduced, but reintroduced you.
And I thought she was a fan.
Yes, that's right.
We'll tell that story one day.
One day. Although, yeah, we'll talk about.
I have no idea. I'm not part of this group chat, which is my history.
Jeremy, you are connected to the people we're talking about, which makes this.
I think so. I believe so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know all of these people who you were talking 100%, about. I don't know any of these stories. None of them. I'm left out of everything. If I don't hear it from dark Twitter, sometimes Sean will tell me stuff. I don't know anything.
I get it. I was, you know what? And I'm not upset. I was half expecting Sean to show up here and
yeah, where is Sean?
He's probably sleeping.
Eating. I've been texting him. I've been texting him this morning, starting at like 7:30.
Yeah, he's been up.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm on Fightful now, guys. This is it. This is the moment. I'm the third wheel on this show.
This is the show. Okay, fine. By the way, I think it's worth noting that I know all of you are here to talk about AEW and Collision and CM Punk at 11:15 Eastern. So that's in about, what was that, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Spencer Love from Love Pro Wrestling is going to be joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about Love Pro Wrestling. We're going to go from like televised wrestling to a very successful local independent out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And also Love Wrestling is fantastic, not just their content, but also their shows. So Spencer's going to join us at around 11:15, just talk about that. And yeah, hopefully you'll all stick around and buy tickets to their shows and
so,
all the other stuff.
I'm curious if I could gauge your audience a little bit. Are you going to watch this show live? Jeremy, how about you?
Let us know in the chat. I'm probably going to have to cover portions of it. At least the first few weeks, I'm going to have to cover part of it. So yes, I'll watch it. If I can, I'll probably watch it live. Which my wife is very understanding of all the dumb wrestling that happens in the world and how much I have to cover of it. And she's a wrestling fan herself. She says, I'll watch it live until I fall asleep. So she'll watch the first, 30 minutes or so of it live. Yeah, I'll watch most of the show live, but man, Saturday, we ain't got plans, man. We don't go out on Saturday nights. It's mainly Saturday nights of like,
ruin
is
my
there a
wife's
better
Saturdays? I cannot wait to ruin her Saturdays. So Jess is not a wrestling fan, but she's kind of, it's like Stockholm syndrome. Now she tolerates it a little. So our Saturdays are going to be a lot of fun. I think what's going to end up happening for me is I'm going to watch on Sunday mornings. And then I think what's going to be interesting is pay-per-views, right? Because Rampage is normally done live on the pay-per-view weekend. So now, are you removing that?
Unless they double book really triple book the arena of just like keep it set up for Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, just keep it rolling. And then you move to the bigger venue for the Sunday pay-per-view. There should be some long weeks in wrestling. Oh.
Yeah, because Joel, that Forbidden Door show, right? That's the first test to this.
Oh no.
So you're gonna have where are they doing Dynamite that weekend?
Not Toronto as I've understood it.
Okay.
It has not, I don't think it's been announced, but I don't think they're doing Toronto because that's a lot.
They haven't announced. It's in a month.
No. Yes, you know where the Dynamite is before Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door is on Sunday, June 25th. Do you know where Dynamite is from on Wednesday, June 21st?
That's the
Chicago.
Oh wow.
That's the Wintrust show. I forgot about that.
So keep Wintrust rolling. Just book it for Saturday and then everybody travels to Toronto for Sunday.
Everybody just travels back and forth to Toronto.
No, Kenny, it's not in Hamilton. The show after Forbidden Door is in Hamilton. And by the way, nobody wants to go to Hamilton. I certainly don't.
That's how I feel about Brooklyn.
That's how you feel about Brooklyn. That's
that I will never go to a New York. See, it's a New Jersey Nets to me. They're always the New Jersey Nets to me. No one's going to a Brooklyn Nets game.
This is the most disappointing part.
No
Saturday. WWE doing
Big
Saturday pay-per-views is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Sunday, the pay-per-views with AEW, especially because everyone knows how much I hate the press conferences and how they're 5 hours long. Like I don't need Sunday, these press conferences that run until 3 a.m. Saturday is so much better for me.
Those press conferences are brutal. I'll tell you how brutal they were. When I was in Vegas for Double or Nothing last year, we were supposed to record, Dave, myself, Brian, we were also supposed to record after the pay-per-view. And we were discussing the day before. And when they told me that the scrum is happening and that we'll do it after the scrum, I just got on my plane and I went home. I left early. I didn't even want to wait. Couldn't do it.
It's so long. It's so long. That's how my villain origin story with Tony Khan started.
Guys, breaking news. Investigation Discovery has closed a deal with filmmaker Michael Bay to executive produce a new true crime docuseries. It will expose a terrifying yet little-known true crime story set to premiere in 2024.
I thought Michael Bay
is producing a docuseries on Brawl Out? Let's go! Let's go! This is the greatest news ever.
Oh, my God.
I'm very excited for that.
Michael Bay, the explosions he's going to put behind some of the punches and the chairs thrown and the bite marks. Oh, man. A Michael Bay docuseries. Sounds awesome. Somebody mentioned we're not going to acknowledge the Warner Brothers stream announcement. There's nothing to acknowledge right now. Like, they haven't announced anything, at least in terms of AEW. Yeah,
no,
I haven't seen it.
I ain't seen nothing.
I haven't seen anything. So if they announce something like in regards to AEW, we will certainly throw up the ones acknowledge it, but they haven't announced anything.
Tony put out something here. With the addition of AEW Collision on TNT, I'm extremely proud that a Turner Network, I love that he's still calling it a Turner Network. A Turner Network will be the home for Saturday Night Wrestling for the first time in more than 2 decades. Fascinating. Very cool.
Yeah.
And somebody comments with, what a dead company.
Unbelievable.
You can't satisfy anybody.
No. Somebody says that it was announced that TNT and Warner Brother properties would be on there. Like, yeah, I understand that, but does that mean, like, what does that mean for AEW?
But they've been on there. They've been on there.
There's no, like, does this mean pay-per-views are going to stream, or is the archive going to be on there? It's a very blanket, generic statement of like, yeah, our properties are going to be on this streaming deal. That doesn't add any clarification to what that means for AEW.
They also need to do a couple more things for me. They need to bring back Buffy. Okay, we need Buffy back.
They're bringing back the Joe Schmo show.
Okay, the Joe Schmo show's back. I also want the Gilmore Girls to return.
Oh yeah, no, I get
if anybody could help me with that, if somebody could get in, I do that at every time I see these guys from Warner, regardless of what they do in that company, I will habitually tell them that they need to bring the Gilmore Girls back. And somebody blurted out, "Isn't it coming back already?" And I think it is.
They did a reunion special.
It sucked.
The whole miniseries.
Yeah, but I think now Rory has a kid. I think in the new one she's gonna have a kid. I'm so into it. I'm telling you. I watch the most wacky TV. You'll never guess my consistency.
I mean, I could guess.
Somebody's mentioned Charmed. Did you watch Charmed?
Yeah, Charmed. Angel.
Oh yeah, Angel was good. Yeah,
Angel was good.
But how do you bring back Buffy? Didn't everyone die at the end?
You could bring everybody back.
It's true. Everyone just comes and just snaps their fingers and woof, we're back.
We're back.
Apparently, they're trying to reboot Buffy.
Yeah.
This is the power of Andrew Zarian, by the way.
Oh, there you go. I can manifest things. This is all my coma dream at this point. None of this is real.
What was
None
that
of this
game?
is happening with a writer's strike anyway. We gotta get through that.
SP3 saying Dawson's Creek. Let's not do that.
I was, I was not a Pacey fan. Dawson was. Now, Seventh Heaven, I would want to return, but we can't. We can't.
Isn't that like a super Christian-y show?
It was, and it was hysterical. I watched it as a comedy, but the dad did some bad stuff.
Oh, okay. Then we're not doing that. Well, you can always recast everybody.
Another terrible show.
Anyway, so
we need on this new show, by the way, Collision. We need RJ City being Mean Gene Okerlund and plug in the hotline every single day.
I can tell you a lot of people are very fond of him.
Well, that's
not everybody.
Everybody's fond of RJ.
Maybe.
Joel loves RJ City.
I do too.
Actually, I am very fond of RJ City, even though he made me wait 30 minutes to do our interview that aired on Fightful.com, and he then spent 15 minutes talking at me instead of with me.
You probably deserved it.
You did deserve it.
Did. He really threw me off my game. Go watch that interview. It's really there.
Did you really have a bad interview with RJ?
We didn't have a bad one.
No,
we just had a very typical RJ City interview where he tosses out a whole bunch of obscure TV references, and I'm keeping up to my best ability, but Tim, who's behind the camera, who used to host Tim and Joel with me, he's catching everything. He's really getting it. So RJ at one point was like, I should have been doing the interview with him. And I'm like,
that's great.
You want
Fantastic.
to?
We were just talking about Long Island towns. And I'm like, for a Canadian, you surely know a lot.
Well, he's got some New York in him.
He has some New York in him.
I feel like RJ City knows everything about everything, like a little bit of everything about everything. No matter what it is, you can just throw a subject at RJ City and he's going to know a little bit about it.
But only until like 1994. And then he's done nothing after that. You talked to him about like devil sticks. Remember those when we were kids on the playground? He's like, no idea what those are. And he'll just stare at you blankly. I have nothing.
They finally announced Collision at the Upfronts, by the way. So it's now officially official if you're tuning in to the Upfronts.
Well, here's another thing. WBD had mentioned coming back. They're going to be coming back to talk about news and sports and how it would be involved in Max.
Okay. There we go. Maybe we will get a little bit more as far as AEW potentially streaming on Max.
Yep.
It's time.
How long are these Upfronts?
Hours.
Couple hours. Yeah.
Hours.
Gosh.
Someone in the chat saying RJ doesn't like me. First of all, we get along great. RJ and our first interaction was a big hug.
That's because he's Canadian. It's what we do. He hugs everybody. Canadians just hug. Yeah.
You think he's given up on that ever since?
After he hugged you, he's like, it just turned off from hugs.
Is it a Canadian thing to hug? Because if you ask our former mayor, our former governor of New York, it's always a kiss and a grab. We're just overly Italian. We're just all overly Italian here.
That's disturbing. Anyway, let's wrap up this part of the chat because, like I said, we got Spencer Love joining us in about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us,
guys. Always a blast.
This was great. I know your expectations for Collision are high. I mean, did we answer the question with you about your viewing habit when it starts and what you're kind of expecting and what you want to do?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a mixed bag when it comes to just viewership. I think they're gonna find out very quickly, and I don't think it's gonna be week 1 or week 2, but I think it's gonna be very soon that they're gonna find out. Are these people watching live? Or are they watching on DVR? I think it's gonna be a mixed bag here.
And will you be watching live for the first little while?
I'm gonna be watching live until my wife tells me, "Why are you ruining another day of the week for me?" So
that works.
That's my cutoff here.
Someone had mentioned in the chat Collision and coffee on Sundays, and I don't hate that idea.
That's good.
It's
Collision and coffee on Sundays.
Yes, that'll be your early morning. So, Andrew Zarian, please plug your stuff, and we'll let you go for now.
WrestlingObserver.com. Wrestling Observer Live on Sundays. We're live, pal, on Tuesdays. And, of course, Matt Men, Joel's favorite podcast, on every Friday with Rich.
Look, they're pretty fun, I got to admit. But now that we do In the Weeds on Fridays at 10 a.m. as well, we're
competing
after. I know this is awful.
It's terrible.
It's okay.
They were on Fridays first. We kind of that's our bad.
Well, yeah, no, I've moved that show around like 18 times. So.
That's what I was gonna say. There's been so much movement, but you guys have settled in Fridays at 10 a.m.
Yeah, for the most part. You know, sometimes it's Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well,
sometimes we don't even do it.
Listen, y'all have done almost 500 episodes. It's just what you do now.
Just what I do. I've done. Yeah, but it would have been like 1,000 episodes if I had consistently done it every week.
That's how you know you're a success in business. Andrew Zarian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Honestly,
we thought we'd do an hour.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, we didn't expect to do an hour. We thought we'd do 20 minutes, but this was exciting. We
dude, great. Awesome. Jeremy, love your stuff. You're my new favorite person on Fightful. All right? Tell Sean he can stick it. And Joel, we're not friends anymore. Goodbye.
It's fine by me.
That's fair. Yeah.
I got a potato with his name
there. I don't blame him there.
Yeah, I didn't think Andrew would join us for the entire hour talking about this deal, but very much thanks to him.
Well, it took him 40 minutes to announce the deal, so we had to just kind of preview things until everything became official, and now we'll see if they announce even more coming out of it. They haven't announced anything when it comes to a potential streaming when it comes to AEW, if they will announce that today. We don't know what Tony Khan has to say tonight, if he is going to give more clarity on this deal, if he's going to have his a whole separate announcement. Tony said tune in to TNT, and people are like, oh, why'd you say TNT? Does this mean, hey, tune in to TNT throughout the day, and in the middle of a replay of Supernatural at 2 o'clock, we're going to break in with some news about AEW? Or does that just mean I said TNT because this new show is going to be on TNT? I still think there's some unanswered questions, but right now what we do know is Collision live. I think that's the biggest thing to me is right now it's live. It's live on Saturdays because we weren't sure if it was going to be taped, and they still might do some tapings, but right now it's going to be live. I think Sean reported this morning on Fightful Select that they're going to do Dynamite, they're going to tape Rampage with Dynamite, and then they're going to do Collision, and they're going to tape ROH with Collision, which makes sense if like Samoa Joe is on that show. Does that mean we're going to get Claudio on that show? Where does he end up out of this? The Lucha Bros seems like they might be on the show because since they're the ROH tag team champions. So if you're an ROH champion, it seems like you might be a part of the Collision roster to start with. Well, there's still some unanswered questions, not only when it comes to Collision, when it comes to just the scope of AEW and expectations, but we've got confirmation on Collision and certain people on the roster and the time slot and the taping that it's live.
So two things. One, JB Perrette, who is the CEO and president of Warner Bros Discovery Global Streaming and Interactive Entertainment, he's up now talking about Max and streaming and all this stuff. So we'll see if anything comes from that. We'll still be monitoring while we're talking to Spenny. And number two, going back to the idea of Collision being live, they announced that House Rules event in Calgary that's going to coincide with the Owen finals, the Owen Hart Cup finals. That to me feels very much like the show will go from House Rules to Collision very quickly as you crown your second ever Owen Hart Cup winners.
Right. Well, they didn't even brand that one House Rules. They branded it like live. No. On the website, are we talking, the Calgary show?
Calgary show, they put out a whole thing calling it a House Rules event.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. I was looking at the Regina show, which was branded as a live televised event. You're right in that the House Rules show was branded, or the Calgary show was branded as House Rules. Yeah, it seems like that's just gonna be a Collision episode. I can't imagine they're going to run the Dynamite roster as a House Rules event, and then Collision is running elsewhere that same night. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Especially running at the Saddle Dome, which is a very large venue in Calgary. So if you're AEW, you're probably going to get ahead of that as quick as you can in terms of market marketing it to Calgary and saying, hey, we told you it was house rules, but guess what? This new show means da 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 da. I just love the idea that they had someone mock up a house rules poster, just knowing full well that they were going to turn this into a presumably, I'm not reporting anything, but presumably a Collision taping, because if you're doing the finals of the Owen, like you can't not do it live and on TV if you have that opportunity. It's got to be done.
But this is why it was weird to me that for the Regina show, it was live televised event on Saturday instead of, a house rules type of thing. Like, you basically tipped off everything. Like, could that have meant like, okay, it's a Dynamite taping? Like, maybe it could have meant that, or it's a Rampage taping type of thing. But they just went like live televised event. So they basically tipped off that, yeah, this is going to be live on TV. We can't officially say it's a Collision show just yet, but this will be a live event for everybody that'll be televised. So, and then for Calgary, they were like, no, it's house rules. It's actually a house show. And now, of course, it's most likely going to be a Collision taping.
Chi-Town Spurs has sent us a super chat earlier that I wanted to read now. Will Connor Bedard be drafted to Collision or Dynamite? Seems like a Collision man.
Yeah, Collision is the show that hasn't. It's the new show, so technically it would have had better lottery odds. So they probably would have won the lottery. But maybe the Elite rigged it since. Well, CM Punk's a hockey fan. No, CM Punk's a Blackhawks fan. So yeah, it's definitely on Collision. Definitely on Collision.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the Chi-Town's because like Chris Byers, it was the same color, so I got thrown off. Is Thunder Rosa healthy if she's going to be one of the faces of Collision? That's a big question. We've been asking ourselves this since she went into Tony Khan's office on Dynamite this past Wednesday and said she's going to talk to Papi Khan. Is she back?
There were reports that she still may need surgery. She was on Busted Open. Dynamite was last Wednesday. She was on Busted Open on Friday, and I listened to that, and she didn't really say much of anything. She just basically thanked fans for their support and everything, and then they transitioned talking about Backlash. So she didn't say too much about that. I would imagine if she's on TV, the way they brought her back, she's healthy enough in some capacity that she's gonna, and they're putting her in this headline for this. She's healthy enough in some capacity that she will be used as a regular TV character. Does that mean she can wrestle the entire time? No. Does that mean they can put her on TV to build a storyline to get to a wrestling match when she is cleared? Yes.
So with all this in mind, I know there's going to be so much more talk about Collision and about Dynamite and about AEW and CM Punk and all that stuff. But we did make a promise, and we are going to deliver, because we didn't mock up a design and then pull it back to make a new one. No, we bring our people on. So let's bring them on right now from Love Wrestling. It's Spencer.
Hey, you handsome gentleman. It's good to see you.
Beautiful man.
I'm good.
Spencer Love.
And and a beautiful foster fail puppy.
Oh, I love it.
Right? He's the sweetest. So he'll be hopping in. He gets very, very distracted when I'm hopped on. But to be honest with you, we know what the draw is here. It ain't me. So meet Rip.
So first of all, thanks for joining us. You and I have a very funny history. We met while meeting Sean at SummerSlam in 2019.
Thanks for grabbing a photo of us.
A photo of you two. You've had such an interesting kind of movement through the professional wrestling world, and now with Love Wrestling, as a wrestling promotion, it's completely different from when I met you and you were doing more interview and media-based programming. Talk to me about the decision you made to go into running shows.
Man, in the best of ways, I sort of fell into it, for lack of a better way to put it. I'm really trying to avoid the phrase, but I can't put it any better than I just friggin' love professional wrestling, in any way that I can be involved with it outside of actually wrestling myself. Consider me in, for lack of a better way. So the content end of things for me was just a very not easy, but for me the easiest route to get into professional wrestling, whether it be covering the WWE or local podcasts, stuff like that. And just through that, you start to build relationships, right? And that's been my favorite part of pro wrestling, whether on the content or the live event side. So we started Love Wrestling after we folded my previous site. That started in 2021. And then October of 2021, we just sort of, again, in the best of ways, fell into a couple of sponsors and a couple of individuals here with a local promotion that just wanted to run a show. So here we are. I got the bug after that. We started sourcing. Some personal life stuff sort of fell apart so that this could come together. There we go. So here we are. We've been running consistently since March of 2022. We've got a show exactly 9 days from now, exactly 8 days from now. We're running twice monthly now, which is pretty cool. And yeah, like you said, it's a bit of an interesting route because for my end of things, Joel, like none of it was planned out to end up like this, you know?
And on top of that, you've seen a lot of success partnering with the Rec Room in Edmonton. How did the deal come about? I mean, clearly there's been a successful run of shows. So what got you guys to that deal and your relationship with the Rec Room?
Dude, you don't do anything great without luck. You really don't. And to be honest with you, I am very, very lucky that I know great people because frankly, our deal with the Rec Room came about because of one of the guys that we're working with. So that came about, like I said, about September of 2021. And then in November after that, after the success that we did have with that first show, it just was a natural fit after that. The show itself was great. We did really well for ticket sales, albeit while the Omicron variant or whichever variant at that point was kicking up. So did well on ticket sales, proved we were able to run like a safe event during that. Numbers kicked up a little bit more. So we didn't end up kicking off the official contract until March, but it was pretty quick after that we locked in for 2023. And frankly, like nothing's official, but the longer we can keep running there, it's such a great venue. It's got a bunch of great people in the management, the staff, and everything in between. And it's just cool as shit as far as it goes for like an actual show experience itself. Like a lot of pro wrestling shows, you don't really get that tiered venue and you don't really get sort of that 360 view, that real like theater in the round feel for it. So it's, I really love running there, but to be honest with you, man, like it ain't any skill on my end as far as that goes. That one was all luck.
What's been the most difficult part to running everything for you?
Journalists, man.
Wait a minute.
The dirt sheets.
Fair. Honestly,
you know what? It's so cool to get to say because the biggest issues that we've really run into have been like logistical shit, which is a problem. Like when flights get canceled the day before and stuff like that, it sucks. But coming into it, man, like you hear about the politics, and I'm sure all of us have seen some level of evidence of the politics in pro wrestling and maybe the personalities clashing. And knock on wood, we really haven't experienced that in a lot of ways. We're really, really proud of not just the show, but the locker room we've got. Everybody is there to not just get themselves over, brother, but like put on the best possible show. And they're all pushing each other to have the best match of the night, not in any sort of malicious competition, but in a really positive, uplifting, I know I'm cheesy as all hell, but like a really positive, uplifting way with it, which frankly, I think is most, if not every promoter's biggest stop eating plastic. Every promoter's biggest concern is, you know, you can look at pretty well any roster, you know, you're talking on Collision prior to this, you asshole, I'm plugging everything. But you talk about Collision, a lot of the rumors out there, it's starting because personalities are clashing backstage. Really, really lucky that we haven't had that on our end.
I was going to ask, does that mean that Love Pro Wrestling is going to start a second show?
Hate Pro Wrestling, yeah, our offshoot brand. It's going to be the darker, edgier. It'll be like that third hour of Raw.
Can you make that your Halloween show? You rebrand for the night to Hate Pro Wrestling and everything is just like dark and brooding?
I think that'd be excellent. I actually think it'd be excellent. It'd be really fun to do just dumb stuff like that. To be honest with you, like silly as it might sound, but that's been my favorite part of pro wrestling is just diving more into that sort of like dumb, wacky stuff. Like we did a show last month that featured a full-on tax evaluation segment, which if you had told me 2 years ago we were going to do, I would have looked at you and said, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard, but it rocked. It was awesome. And getting to dive into like that, just, I can't put it any better. The wackiness of professional wrestling, it's the shit.
I mean, wrestling, you can, for better or worse, kind of get away with anything, and just it's chalked up to, hey, it's pro wrestling. So don't give Joe Pearl any credit for hate pro wrestling, by the way. Just do it. Claim it was all your idea. And
Oh yeah,
move
I've
on.
actually. So I'm filing the trademark as we speak.
There we go. See, give Joe Pearl absolutely nothing, and we can
learned from
blame
all these independent contractors. File your paperwork early.
we can blame like JPJ, and that's the reason you need to have the brand split, because those two are just the two beards just
they're volatile,
causing too much trouble.
That's exactly what it is. It's
So-
the mega powers colliding, but I don't think either of them are racist, which is nice.
That's helpful. Yeah,
That's very good.
Help. And that's the kind of that's why I find Love Pro Wrestling so interesting, in that you're running two very different businesses with very different people. You have your professional wrestling show that you're running now, what you said, twice a month, and you've also got these other shows that are running on Twitch and YouTube under the Love Wrestling banner that are talking about the wrestling content that we see on TV, and also interviews and things like that. How do you find the split? Like, how do you find that hard split between what you're doing with Love Pro Wrestling, a wrestling company, and talking about what's out there on TV right now, wrestling commentary from some of the contributors to Love Wrestling?
It's been easier than I thought it would be, to be honest with you, because like, you guys just know me at this point, to be honest with you. Like, man, I don't like making people upset. I don't like bringing negativity to shit. And like, pro wrestling, not 100% of everything is great. But on the media end of things and on the personal relationship end with Love Pro Wrestling, like, those relationships with media are fundamental for us, right? So the last thing I want to be doing is running a professional wrestling show and then hopping on a stream and completely shitting on, another promotion show or someone we're trying to book, whatever that might be. But I do think that Love Wrestling just foundationally, really, and we lucked into this as well too, but like, we really, really try and skew positively with everything, even the review shows and that sort of stuff that we've done since the jump. Like, yeah, there's going to be stuff we don't like. And I've certainly gone off, and everybody's certainly gone off once or twice on, whatever storyline or whatever it may be, they didn't like. But like, I've always found if you're respectful, you're honest, you're open, and you approach things from a place of kindness, that sort of stuff isn't an issue. So as long as I'm not sitting here saying, I hate Dom Mysterio, the guy can't work, he's terrible. No, if I don't like that previously, then you're respectful in your critiques. And
hey, watch out.
I don't know.
Our paywall is there for a reason, for Alex Pulaski to say those things. Okay?
I cut myself off before the royalties would have kicked in. We're all good there. But like, that's sort of been my modus operandi. And the nice thing is it's thus far, knock on wood, it's seemed to work out well. I like talking wrestling with my friends. It's fun to hop on after a pay-per-view. It's fun to book wrestling shows. And I find that if you can sort of walk that line and approach shit with kindness, it's a fairly easy line to walk, I think.
Pulaski would be a tremendous heel and Love Pro Wrestling, just trying to bury everything, and then he just kicked in the head. Just
He's
kicking
our
Alex Pulaski
hate pro wrestling commissioner, Alex Pulaski.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Alex Pulaski, a payday here.
There you go. Oh, I figured this man would join us while Zarian was on, but he's here now when Spencer Love is here. Hello, Sean Ross Sapp. Are you awake?
I am awake.
And you have the wrong microphone again.
Yeah, your mic is not great.
Today's a great day.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Hi, Sean. It's good to see you.
Do you want to try again? There we go.
How about that?
Better.
Spencer, all that I ask of you as my friend, never book Shaza.
All right. I, Sean Ross Sapp, will commit to you on this stream that I will never book Shazza McKenzie.
Wait, no, why?
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
Because I just asked very nicely. That's why.
That's exactly it. We were just talking about leading with kindness and approaching things from a place of positivity. He didn't come on and say, F Shazza McKenzie. I hate Shazza McKenzie. He just said,
true.
He's
not
trying to
Shazza
cut her
McKenzie.
out of a payday, though.
But I don't hate her, though. Like, she's actually my friend. I just occasionally like to show her that I can get up off my couch and do the thing that she spends every day doing way better than her.
Working out?
No, posting ass pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, OnlyFans. You just took a payday from her. That's not
Jeremy, do you have a whole new webcam, or did you just finally turn on a light?
One, yes, lighting. Two, I bought a new computer that I'm going to expense on my next one. So get ready for that bill.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. No, I did buy a new computer. So the webcam is an upgrade on that. But I also did some light things. Sean, I finally badgered you enough for that raise. And so I was like, well, I guess I got to actually upgrade some certain things around here myself.
I do have eggs on the way, Jeremy. I've got an omelet. It's being delivered here now, but just wanted to drop by. Say hi to Spencer. It's been a while since I've seen him, but AEW Collision news, we're going to talk about that on Listen Ya Boy, so I'm going to plug my show here. But we had some big Collision news this morning with word of a roster split on FightfulSelect.com. That's going to be
You're like
something.
An hour late when we talked about all of this stuff.
Yeah, I was taking my vehicle to get detailed. Sorry.
No, that's definitely way more important than AEW's big announcement that you knew was at 10 a.m. today.
But I knew what the announcement was and reported it a month and a half ago, Jeremy.
So did Variety. They wrote Collison.
One half dozen of the other.
Collison. They got Darren Collison.
Nick Collison, bounce pass legend. OKC legend. Nick Collison.
This has been a Steven Larson joke since they announced the trademark. They've been running with that. So I popped so hard when I saw the Variety article. So funny.
I just like that Darren Collison, he retired for 2 years. He came out of retirement to be a Laker. He retired again, and now AEW got him. I love it. I love it.
Talk about falling up.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. That's true. But the long and short of it, great AEW news on FightfulSelect.com. Shaza's never getting booked. And Listen Ya Boy at 3 p.m. Great to see you guys.
Bye, Sean.
Well, there you go. Actually,
thank goodness this is behind a paywall.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring Shaza on and see if she can get herself booked and then ask if Sean can ever be booked.
Oh, see, like I'm definitely going to play both sides on this because then I always win.
Good call. Like, I do want to ask.
Come on, you guys.
So Love Pro Wrestling has a great group that comes in and works hard. A lot of wrestlers and crew. On the wrestler side, who would you love to see come in and work a shot with Love Wrestling?
There are a lot of people. There really, really are. Like the Canadian Indies, Joel, I'm preaching to the choir here, man, but like it's better than ever. I really don't have a better way to put it. People that I haven't worked with yet, I'd like to get Fight or Flight in. We worked with Von Vertigo about a year ago at this point. Him and Fuerza would be an absolute blast. I love them. Judas Icarus out of BC, like just honestly, we have tried to a couple of times and dates just haven't worked out. Would love to work with him. Alexia Nicole, she actually was here. We had her slated to be on commentary for our first show because she was still recovering from her shoulder surgery. Love to have her out here. Speedball Mike Bailey, but I'm pretty sure you can ask any promoter that and just put that in the liner notes at this point. And then to be honest with you, I really want to have Casanova Productions out here. I just love them. And TDT, there's some great tag teams out there in Quebec right now. So yeah, to be honest with you though, there aren't many people that I wouldn't want to work with on the Canadian Indies right now. It's a really, really great time for Above the 49th right now.
Yeah, at this point, you're just going to be chartering a plane going from the East Coast, picking up people along the way, coming to work a show.
Why not? We'll get a bus going like Almost Famous. It'll be great.
It'll be like the reservation tours that Rhino and Edge and Christian.
I'll reach out to. I was just gonna say I'll reach out to Tony Condello and get some advice.
Yeah, CJ will have all the answers for you there.
Oh, we're good to go as far as that goes. I'll just send a little note to old TC.
What are some of your goals when it comes to Love Wrestling? The short term or long term goals?
To be honest with you, man, my only long term goal in professional wrestling, speaking for myself personally, is I want pro wrestling to pay the bills. To be blunt with it, like whether that's running shows specifically, the content end, the combination, everything in between. Like I said, man, I am open for business on everything other than actually professional wrestling myself. No one wants that. I will be like the opposite of a draw. I don't know what you like. I'll be a turn away, I suppose. But other than that, like that's really the long-term goal. Now, saying that, it's not like I don't have any other ones. I do want to start running more consistently, not just outside of the rec room, but hopefully outside of Edmonton, maybe start to do some more unique events. I love doing the small towns, but I'd love to go out and be doing stuff at, speaking for Edmonton specifically, say Edmonton Folk Fest or at the Calgary Stampede or stuff like that. I really love the idea of bringing wrestling to where you really wouldn't expect to see it. And I want to continue to just grow as a promotion. I know that's a very general statement for it, but I'd love to run a bigger venue. I'd love to be able to bring in some of those names I was just talking about, maybe start to bring in some folks that are maybe currently contracted. We're really, really privileged to have the chance to work with Chelsea Green last year and Willow Nightingale and their time prior to going back to WWE and signing with AEW. But it'd be really, really cool for us to be able to bring in like Jericho Appreciation Society, like cool hand. It'd be great to have here, right? Bringing in people that maybe were huge players on the Canadian Indies a few years ago that could use a bit of a homecoming. So that's really about it on the promotional end. On the content end, man, I just want to do, and I've credited you with this a ton, Jarrett, but like, I just want to do dope shit with cool people. It's pretty well lit. I can't remember. It was probably one of those streams that I crashed while I was living in one of my old houses, but that stuck with me, man. And it's really sort of applied, excuse me, as I knock my microphone over. It's really sort of applied to everything I've chased over the last little bit. So there you go. There's your little put over. I got Joel earlier on.
I inspire people with my words.
Send this to Sean when you're asking for the next raise too.
Yeah.
See, playing three sides. Look at me winning.
That'll probably be tomorrow at this rate. The way things are going, I'm going to ask for another raise. And I said that a long time ago. Like when it comes to this, I just like doing dope shit with my friends.
Yeah.
I like to have fun with my friends. And money is nice and everything. But if I can just banter, talk wrestling, talk not wrestling with my friends and just have fun, I feel like it's a good goal to have. And then sometimes money comes along with that. You mentioned, you don't want to wrestle, but have you taken a bump? Will you take a bump?
Yes, actually, I'll send you a clip here. I'll slide into your DMs after this. A couple of years ago, because like I want to learn how to do it. I just don't want to be honest. But I was out a couple of years ago doing like some roll drills and stuff like that. And Michael Richard Blaze, who, if you guys are watching this and you haven't checked him out, you're missing out on one of the best professional wrestlers in the world by my money, and one of the best people. But quite literally, there's no one else I'd trust doing this. But I finished rolling through, and he grabbed me by the neck, and he said, "Keep your chin tucked." And I said, "Okay." And he hit me with a brain buster. And that's the only like official bump I've ever taken.
Hell of a bump to take.
Yeah, really.
There you go. That's exactly, to be honest, that's where, so Love Pro Wrestling, and shout out to Alley Cat here, one of our local breweries. They sponsor a beer for us, and that's LPW Brainbuster Brew. And that's where it came from.
Nice.
I didn't know that you guys had a beer going.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I'll see you next month, correct?
Forbidden Door? Yeah, that's
Yes.
the plan. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Well, I will do whatever I can to be able to get you some LPW Brainbuster Brew in the old carry-on suitcase. Because again, it's just very, very cool. And we talk often about the wrestling community, but personally, the community of Edmonton, Alberta, like we wouldn't be doing some of the cool shit we're doing without them. You mentioned the Rec Room. Alley Cat's been great to us. All of our sponsors are locally based, which is really important to me. Obviously, you want to support as many individuals as you can, but when you've got the chance to support your hometown, great. And the fact that they've supported us so wholeheartedly is unbelievable in the most literal sense of the word sometimes.
Have you had a chance to connect with other promoters who are maybe in the area or just like in Canada and maybe pick their brain that you could take some of that back to Love Pro Wrestling? Is there anyone or any particular people that you have spoken to about that?
Yeah, you know what? And I'm very, very lucky for a lot of them. The Canadian wrestling community rocks, man. And I've reached out to a lot, but it's pretty cool how many people had actually gone out of their way and reached out to us, even just with kind words and stuff like that, man. So this week, actually, for the first time, I was lucky enough to connect with Sebastian with Smash Wrestling. Obviously, they've got the event going on at the Rec Room on the 25th as well, too, of next month. So getting to connect with him was awesome. Shane Hawk, again, I brought up the IWS earlier. Shane's been nothing but a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
And then a huge shout out to Cobra Kai with WrestleCore. Again, if you guys have the opportunity to check them out on IWTV, I would highly suggest it, because not only is it great wrestling, selfishly, a lot of the people that work for Love Pro Wrestling are out there as well too, but just such a unique sort of vibe to them. Like their next show, I believe, is June 9th, and they're doing it as a Wizard of Oz themed show, and they go full in for it. So I'd suggest checking them out, but on that end, Cobra Kai has been huge. And then Max, who actually started running after we did, but with Boom Pro Wrestling out of BC as well too, would be another individual I'd throw in there. And then Max or Devin with Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. There's sort of the people I'd really point to.
Joel, do you have any more wrestling questions for Spencer before I completely change topics?
That's fine. You'll be fine to do that. I want Spencer real quick, for people who are maybe looking for Love Wrestling, specifically Love Pro Wrestling. Can you shout out some of the talent who may have appeared on televised programming? I know some have been on AEW Dark or Dark Elevation. Shout out some of the people who have been on the show that they've seen on TV.
You know, Joel, it's kind of cool. I should probably pull a list up. There's been so many, and I hope that doesn't sound dickish, but that's just rad for me to be able to say. MRB, Michael Richard Blaze, Jack Pride, and Stephen Crow. Mo Jabari as well took part in a match with Omos. All four of them were on the Monday Night Raw here in Edmonton in September. Michael's appeared for WWE a number of times. He wrestled against DIY. He's wrestled Hideo Itami / Kenta. He was actually one of the guys who took on Braun Strowman as one of the four guys, I believe it was. So you've seen him a ton. Zoe Saggers, our current grand champion. She was on AEW Dark. Between her, Taryn from Accounting, Sebastian Wolf, Mo Jabari, Taylor Rising. Holy crap. Again, this is a really cool problem to have. Jody Threats appeared for us a number of times. You can find her on Impact currently. Giselle Shaw appeared for us. Chelsea Green's on WWE right now. Willow Nightingale signed a month after she appeared for us. Rachel Ellering's been up here as a guest. Is that the way to put it? I hate the phrase talent. It sounds so human capital. You know what I mean? But like, Rachel's been up here. Nicole Matthews was the challenger for Jade Cargill when AEW was here in Winnipeg. So yeah, we're really, really proud, and it's pretty cool, like I said earlier, to have had the opportunity to work with so many people that have been on TV prior to coming here. But it's really cool to me how many have appeared on TV since we've started up. That's again, I'm trying not to be cheesy with it, but like it's heartwarming to see the hard work that these people put in on like a firsthand basis, and to see the results paying off just means a lot to me. That's one of the most rewarding parts of it.
And then that's really what I wanted to get out of you, is that you've had a lot of talent come through, and a lot of them see a lot of success, and it helps when you're on, a successful platform, and you get to, cross pollinate in a way and promote when your talent does well as well. So
yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Jeremy, go off the rails, will you?
It's not totally off the rails. Let me ask the question that I have to ask, because we're all hockey fans here, Spencer. Who do you got in the finals? Who's going to win out of the final four?
I really want to see Florida, just because it's funny. But I have no other way to put it. But like, the best way I can put it is like, I've always had like the Pokemon gym leader theory of like, if we're going to lose to anybody, then they better win it all. So I'm selfishly somewhat cheering for Vegas, because if they're going to eliminate the Oilers, and yeah, I'm still mad about it, but if they're going to eliminate us, I at least want to lose to the best team. Like, that was sort of the nice silver lining as far as last year goes. Like, if we're going to lose to Colorado, I know. I ain't begrudging. But if we're going to lose to Colorado, at least we're going to lose to the team that wins the cup. Like, then I can at least tweet out a couple of times this summer at my Leafs and Flames friends, like, at least we're the second best team in the league. And
I don't think it works like that.
Leave Twitter for the rest of the day. No, that's exactly how it works. Like, that is exactly how it works. I think that's in the Geneva Convention.
Florida would be hilarious in that they won the President's Trophy last year, didn't look great in the playoffs, got into this year, and everyone expected them to just get destroyed by the record-setting Bruins, came back down 3-1, won Game 7, and then winning the whole thing would be just,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would expect that.
Well, and I'm kind of cheering for Florida because, like, man, every time I think that I'm starting to like Toronto, because goddamn, they're a fun hockey team to watch. But like every time I start to think I'm liking them, a video like that, "We Want Florida" comes out. And like, what else can you say to it? It was like, well, when you get what you ask for, don't be upset when you get seconds.
I don't want Vegas to win. Vegas, I don't like their fans. I don't like their Twitter account. I don't like anything about Vegas.
The only reason I would be cheering for Vegas is moral victory for the Oilers. some small moral victory for my beloved Edmonton Oilers.
Also, think of all the places you could see the Stanley Cup if it's in Vegas. They'll just move it all up and down the strip. Different hotel every single day. It'll be great. That's huge tourism dollars because that's basically who comes to watch the Vegas night.
True.
You ain't wrong there as well. Vegas Golden Knights owned by Booster Juice co-founder. There's a fun one for you. So you can always bring it back to Edmonton, Alberta.
Spencer, thank you for joining us today, buddy. Really appreciate it. It's good to see you again. It's good to catch up with you.
I have missed you. We've got to I've got to make more of an effort, I should even say, to hop into your guys' DMs a little bit more. It's always good to see you.
You're always
busy, but I can make I can make more of an effort on that end. I'll send you that video of the Brainbuster because it's still funny. My cell is awful, but like hilariously awful. I'm pretty proud of it. Did you know it was going to be? I take a lot of pride in that.
Did you know it was going to be a Brainbuster? Because he said just tuck your chin, and it could just have been a regular suplex.
The only reason I sort of assumed is like that's been his finisher for years and years and years. So sort of could have taken a guess, but like sort of expected it to be like a nice little tee-hee where it's like, oh, I've got Spencer. There you go. And then it was, oh, I got Spencer, and there you go. So a little bit of a different story than I was expecting.
Before you run away, let them know the upcoming shows for Love Pro Wrestling and everything else that's going on out there.
Yeah, so May 25th, the last Thursday of the month, we are at the Rec Room for the first half of back-to-back nights. We're running shows in conjunction with the Clandestine Wrestling Society. So a lot of people getting in for their first matches, trying new stuff. It's an inexpensive ticket, just $10 a head. Come and check out the future of pro wrestling. And then on Friday nights, the last Friday of every month here at the Rec Room, South Edmonton Common, Love Pro Wrestling. This is our 15th event in canon, I guess is the best way to put it. Vulgar display of Powerbomb. It's a tribute to Pantera. We love tying in sort of pop culture, punk rock, heavy metal into everything that we can. I've got to send you guys both our branding for next show because you guys will pop for it for a number of reasons. But that takes place on Friday. There are limited tickets still available. We would hazard a guess that there won't be any available at the door. 11 of our last 12 events have sold out in advance, and I was very frustrated that we had like 6 tickets at the door for the one we didn't. But you got to be honest. So we will likely sell out in advance. So if you want to check those out, you can head right to Eventbrite, check out Love Wrestling, or if you want to follow us everywhere, wherever podcasts are played, videos are viewed, or awesome content's created by awesome people, you can find us at Love Wrestling CA.
Spenny, thank you so much.
Guys, thank you. It was good to see you. I'll see you next month. Oh my God, that's awesome to say. Especially since I saw you like 2 months ago. It's not like, hey, I saw you at SummerSlam 2021 last.
We shared a hotel room at the Embassy Suites and off the strip. Yeah.
I still like it often comes up, speaking of Vegas, that like, so what'd you guys do when you got to Vegas? Us 3 grown men spent a Friday night in Vegas watching CM Punk return.
That's right.
And went and sang karaoke with Nick Gage.
Oh, that's right. That was a
heck of a Friday. It was a heck of a Friday.
Oh my goodness.
You should message Rick Giacchino and ask him how my voice was sounding the Sunday after. I sounded like Batman ate a pack of cigarettes. It was terrible.
I felt bad because I had to ditch you guys to go get with Andrew Zarian, who was just on the show, who had a ticket for me for the event. And as you and JPJ were doing a live stream running down the card, I'm just sitting there on my phone earlier in the day, looking at Ticketmaster and just no selling everything. people on the show was like, is that Joel? And I'm just like, $35 for a floor seat.
One of these days we'll be back, and this time I'll remember that you can drink for free at the video roulette machines, because I didn't remember that on the Friday night and it hurt my wallet.
Back to Vegas. We'll go back to Vegas after we visit Toronto. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Spencer. Thank you.
You too.
for hanging out
Thank
with
you guys. Take care. Have a good rest of the day. Lots of love to you.
Oh, that's such a good time.
I've not talked to Spencer since, the days we were doing like Twitch and everything, and we would do the late night streams, and then Spencer would jump on there for that, or we'd play like hits at night and Spencer would jump on. He got so busy with we both got busy, but him running his own promotion and everything. We exchange DMs every now and again, but that was the first time I've like really sat down and talked to him since those days. So good job, Joel Pearl. Joel Pearl booked everything for today's show.
I did. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I had I got Andrew, and then last night I was like, hey, I want to talk to Spenny because we like having someone involved with wrestling that has a show coming up to talk about what's coming up in their live event schedule. So Spenny was great. He always is, and I'm really, really proud. I'm serious. It's wild to see from 2 years ago when I met him, and he was still trying to figure out what the hell his space is and what he wants to do, to where he is now, and he continues to grow. And continues to do great. And he's got a great team of people around him too, working not only on the content side, but also on the wrestling side. I don't need to shout everyone out because they know who they are, and I'm not going to single out people, but they really do a really fantastic job at Love Wrestling, and it's great seeing them grow. So having Spenny was great, and I'm looking forward to seeing him and others at Forbidden Door in Toronto in a month, and also at the Smash Wrestling shows. That'll be just before Forbidden Door. Girls Next Door is the name of the all-women show that they're running. I know Kate and I had a good time. Now, whenever I hear the term Girls Next Door, all I think about is the Duran Duran song, Girls on Film. So I just start singing Girls Next Door. I know what you're thinking, and don't think it.
What? What am I thinking, Joel Pearl?
What are you thinking, Jeremy?
You said you know what I'm thinking. So now you need to Miss Cleo and tell me what I'm thinking.
You thinking about the movie with Alicia Cuthbert?
Yeah, I am actually. That's a good movie. That's a really good movie right there.
Oh my goodness. Benny just sent me something that popped me immensely.
Nobody sends me anything. Why don't people send me stuff?
All I can say is look forward to that when it comes.
Okay. He did send it to me. That's hilarious.
It's going to be great.
Yeah,
JPJ with the generous super chat. He's part of Love Wrestling. Spencer rules. You guys rule. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff with JPJ. JPJ loves gaming. JPJ loves wrestling. JPJ loves staying in a hotel room with me in Vegas in 2021 and going to SummerSlam. Yeah, there you go. Love Wrestling. I sent it to you too, Jeremy. So
I did see it.
Tremendous stuff.
Yeah. So somebody mentioned in the chat as we transition here. Somebody mentioned in the chat, has enough time passed to confirm we're not getting stream news. The upfront's over, so they announced it there. Doesn't seem like they're, at least for now, announcing it. Maybe that is Tony's announcement. I'm still not clear on what Tony is announcing tonight. I don't know if it's a whole new announcement. I don't know if it's just bigging up the announcement that they've already announced. There wasn't much clarification when he talked about it. He's like, we'll have more on Dynamite. So again, what does that mean? Does that mean a new announcement? Does that mean a follow-up? Does that just mean, hey, this is what we announced earlier in case you missed it type of thing?
It is very strange, especially when you consider that AEW is a very online type of promotion. A lot of the fans are already plugged in. They know what's going on. But at the same time, yeah, he'll absolutely reiterate the AEW Collision announcement. But yeah, I can't imagine Tony not having one more thing to announce alongside the Collision announcement. I don't know what that is. More info on Collision is what Caden says, and that's what TK tweeted. So maybe he's going to announce a few first dates for the show.
Maybe. So this is from Mike Johnson at PW Insider, which I found interesting. And I don't know Well, I'll say what it is, and then I'll say why I found it interesting. So, notably absent from the artwork and all the mentions in the press release is former AEW champion CM Punk, who had been long expected to be announced as returning at the first ever Collision taping in Chicago, Illinois at the United Center. One would think that Punk not being center stage as part of the announcement means there's a hurdle the two sides have yet to cross. The belief among AEW sources as of late, as over the weekend, was that Punk was back in and would be one of the main forces in front of and behind the scenes for the new series. Based on the announcement today, it appears that, at least as of this moment, that is not the case. More as we confirm it. I don't feel like him not being part of the press release means any of that. I feel like him not being part of the press release means we're going to like kind of mention this on Dynamite and we're going to do this on our terms type of thing, is instead of let's just throw all the info out there right now. That's my feeling of it.
And
I think Mike is maybe reading too much into him not being part of this press release.
I agree. It very much feels like Tony knows who's paying attention, knows how to draw some eyes, because now people are asking, hey, where's CM Punk? We've been talking about CM Punk. Why isn't he anywhere near this Collision announcement? We expected it. This is the opportunity for him to start drawing out that announcement and playing up that it will happen. It doesn't make sense just to throw it all at the wall and expect, Tony's a promoter first and foremost. What does he do? He goes on shows and he talks about his partnerships and how much he loves his partners and how much he loves AEW and the promotion. He is a promoter. He's going to talk about the products that he's putting out, and he's going to tease when there's something big that's going to happen, but he's not going to tell you what it is until it's time to tell you. And 10 a.m. on a Wednesday is not it. You tell that live. And good on Tony not doing a Tony has a big announcement graphic for today's show.
Yes.
I mean, he did yesterday say, or not yesterday, last week we did he did the stand up and said, we'll be live on TNT and then I'll talk about it more on TBS, yada, yada. So clearly they wanted to tease it, but they didn't want to go over the top like they had in the past. And I give a lot of kudos to AEW for knowing better than to tease it again and do the Tony Khan as a huge announcement. This is better, assuming this is how we're going to play it out.
So, Caden mentioned that Tony mentioned his tweet said he would have more info on Collision. Well, here's Sean Ross Sapp, who, we double clicked each other. There we go. There's Sean Ross Sapp. Oh, what? You have more than just eggs. Oh, there's your omelet.
Yeah, but it's
toast.
like soggy. It's soggy toast. So I'm not.
Where's this from?
Yeah.
A place called Wild Eggs.
Oh, okay.
Shocker, right?
You make your own food? Just general question.
Yeah. Usually, my wife got so picky with her eating that she just started to cook everything a few years ago. But I cook plenty. But I've decided when I have my inevitable meltdown, it's going to be on this show. I've decided to do that.
Thanks.
And I can't even joke that it's because nobody watches this show. I can't even joke that because people do watch this show. It's a good show. I'm not even going to pretend that it's not. I just feel like this is the right place for an eventual mental breakdown.
I don't know if this is good or bad.
No, he's with the right people for it. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's morning. I've always wanted to have a morning show. I just never wanted to do a morning show. You know what I mean? I don't want to get up at the crack of 10. At the crack of 10? No thanks.
Sean appearing on this show, eating eggs, just bearing these great eggs, wild eggs here.
They're incredible eggs.
Honestly, you could have an entire brawl out situation of your own, just eating eggs and talking trash about everyone here.
I did almost strangle John Alba once.
While eating eggs?
No. I wish I had eggs. Me and Cher Delaware were trying to find our way to the venue at AEW. It was in Jacksonville. I think it was Cher. Maybe it was somebody else. I can't remember. Maybe it was Denise.
Was this the baseball incident? Because that was Denise.
Okay, it was Denise then. But he actually that was impressive. Somebody hit a home run or a foul ball right outside, and John Alba just bare hand caught it. It was pretty impressive. But he said something like, "Oh, it's over by the train tracks." Well, there were actual train tracks in Jacksonville. So we headed over there and we couldn't find the entrance. They had blocked off everything. Google Maps was no help. And he was joking and we were late. And when I saw him, I grabbed him. I went full Spreewell on him, like jokingly. But if you remember, this is when he had that thing going on with his throat. Like he almost lost his voice. So he's like, Sean, what are you doing? And I throttled him. Poor guy.
Should have just goozled him. Just give him the choke slam.
I should have done Tongan death grip. That's
oh, someone's gotta bring that back. That's a good one.
Oh, Solo Sikoa should bring it back. Bring back the spike. That just don't go head vice. That one's stupid. I like the spike. I used to think it was dumb until I trained MMA, and then I would use it and cheat a lot when I trained. And there's a reason it's outlawed in MMA. But yeah, I think he'd be good for it. I think there's a lot of people that could use a Tongan death grip in life. Jordan Grace used to use a bear hug as a finish, for the love of God. So maybe her.
Did you see they just got a sauna in their house?
Who?
Those lucky jerks. Jordan Grace.
She's rich, man.
I know. You broke the news. I mean, it wasn't really news.
Yeah.
Like you put it out there, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing like Jordan Grace gets a sauna content, and I'm like,
I mean, she's
shit.
Unironically rich. I mean, she's not going to just outright brag about it, but I was like, "Are you a millionaire from this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am." And I was like, "Hell yeah, good for you, good for you." I love that, and I remember one time she joked when people were trashing her, and she's like, "Who do you think funded Terminus?"
Wow.
And
I mean, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Remember you talked about that. Oh my God.
Are you okay, Sean? I feel like this
nags.
will be the place. Well,
I'm not.
You have your.
It's
mental
not
breakdown.
imminent. It's not imminent or anything. I feel great. I'm doing
Not yet.
awesome.
Wait until
yeah.
Collision starts and we got
But-
wrestling literally every day.
Yeah, and shout out to Rick Acino, Iridian, and Cresta. I'm so excited that they're doing that, and I'm pretty sure that I'll rope one or both of you into doing guest spots on that show as well, because Rich, much like me, has to travel for some of these shows, these WWE shows. But I'm looking at travel right now, and I am such a little bitch when it comes to travel. I don't drive like anywhere. I was talking to Samira yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, what are you all near?" And I was like, "Honestly, Lexington's near everything out here. Knoxville, Nashville, Louisville, Indianapolis, Columbus, Dayton, Cincy, Huntington. It's like right in the middle of everything out here." But I'm about to have to go to London twice, Detroit, probably Chicago, based on what I hear as well. Yeah, Joel, I'll need you around that week.
I am typically around. I can be here. I can be elsewhere. You tell me where, I will be there.
Don't give
That's
Joel
how-
more
Also-
stuff to do.
Speaking of things I need Joel to do, that interview, you
Yeah.
better edit out that mention of Shaza McKenzie. I don't want her mentioned on this at all.
That's not a Joel thing. I've already told Kyler. I said, "Hey, can you cut the Spencer Love interview so we can post that as well?" Because Spencer's talking about Love Wrestling, the promotion and stuff. So you got to tell Kyler, just cut your portion out of it. Basically,
What a great guy Spencer is.
he's the best.
Yeah. I'm going to
We
see.
were all. Oh, who are you? What's
He's
he
gonna be
doing?
in
Joel, we're getting a lot of beer on this show, by the way. Skyros is offering us beer. Spencer's offering us beer.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I don't drink, but so thanks, guys.
Honestly, like I'm not.
Maybe I had a problem.
Well, Caden sent a super chat for the egg, so those.
You chipped away at about 10% of it, so thanks.
Okay, it doesn't even go to you. It doesn't go to Jeremy. It doesn't go to me. It goes to Haley and
staff.
Kylie.
Yeah, Haley and Kylie. Yeah, they get it more than anybody else.
Kylie's got new teeth. Kylie's got to get some money, I guess.
That's right. Can we get Kylie paid around here?
She's paying for her grills.
Everyone's getting paid around here. That's what we do.
What would you do if she showed up? I don't think she took any time off from Tag Talk, did she?
No, I don't.
She
think
did, no, she did
The
miss one
dental
show.
surgery.
She did miss one show.
Okay.
Because
Fired first off.
Haley interviewed Rosario Grillo, so
Right.
that
Okay.
was the show she missed. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
but
Haley
Leah, is
wrote
she-
transcriptions for me so I could write articles, which was fantastic of her.
Great.
It made my life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tech
you don't
Talk,
get paid for that. But
I don't get I just get paid for everything. I don't like technically get paid for this show. I don't technically get paid for the spotlight. It's all
technically,
encompassing.
yeah.
Remember when I put like point guard stuff in my
Yeah.
in what's in my invoice? I was just like point guard stuff, and you're like, hey, can the person who puts point guard stuff in his invoice not do that? Not to single anybody out, but can you not do that? And I was like, who would do that?
So full disclosure, in my deal, I have some of my trips worked in, at least some reasonable expenses and things like that, but not really a lot. And one of them that I expensed, I just put in parentheses, I won't take a cut of Red Circle. Just I won't take this ad that I sold that made us thousands of dollars. Don't worry about it. Who cares? By the way, guys, if you all want to advertise on our shows, Kate is selling ads. If you want to just buy the whole overbooked thing. I want to do naming rights to studios and everything.
What do we call it? The In the Weeds presented by Blue Chew Studio. We're doing that.
Oh yeah, hard dicks all day.
we did a whole lot of hard and soft talk earlier when we talked about the draft. So this would have been the best week to have a Blue Chew sponsorship. I'm just saying.
I'm also about to post some CM Punk news on Fightful Select, but I don't know what they're gonna do with this brand split thing. I hope there's a draft. I've got draft fever. I got draft fever.
Are you not going to be a coward? Are you going to let me draft against you for AEW?
You're going to draft R-Truth to AEW.
Yeah,
no, he'll draft RJ City to AEW is what he'll do.
Danhausen's my first pick,
brother.
baby. Danhausen. That's who I'm going with for the first pick.
Before we get out of here, we got a super chat from Love Wrestling saying, "Love y'all. Thanks for having me on. Spenny, thank you for joining us. You're phenomenal, and we love what you're doing over there." As we start to wind down, because it is after 12 o'clock, Dynamite tonight, tons going on. Sean's got to listen to your boy later on. Jeremy, anything from Dynamite tonight that you're looking forward to?
Well, we have a tremendous lineup for you, Joe Furl.
Oh, God, no.
Bye.
He did the same damn promo that night that you did last Wednesday.
I know. It's a
very
tremendous show. One of our best shows ever. We're coming off a monumental day in AEW history where we announced AEW Collision Saturdays, beginning June 17th, Saturdays, 8 o'clock, TNT live every Saturday. Historic day for AEW. And I just want to thank all the great wrestling fans that are out there. Justified, this is awesome chant.
I just want to say, I will not make privy my conversations with many wrestlers or executives, but after Will got hired, I sent Tony Khan a message and it said, "You got a good one. Now please hire Jeremy and get him away from me. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed, fingers crossed." Be careful what you wish for. Never say never, etc., etc., etc. was the message that I got back.
He's being very friendly of acting like I'm going to get hired by AEW. I think people know I've pitched. I publicly pitch this. I've pitched to do something for just transcription work overall. So look, if it happens, great. Tony Khan ain't hiring me. Yeah, get me booted from this for the impression that I do, if anything.
I love it when people say, Sean must be really jealous that Will got hired. I was like, do you know how good that makes us look? Do you have any idea how good that makes us look? I'm very happy for Will. I am over the moon for Will. I'd be more over the moon for Will if they didn't put it in his contract that he couldn't disclose proprietary information. I would like some proprietary information. I think that would be beneficial.
Is it just to you, or like
it's specifically to the way that I had heard it was to at least former employers, but I'm like, you were an independent contractor, no employment status. Let's go.
He was technically on overbooked for a few months, so I don't know if that counts. Oh, that's a shame.
I had people asking when I'm calling up In the Weeds, and I was like, can Overbook not have anything?
That's why I wanted this show on over one, because there was too much on the main channel anyway. But yes, this show doesn't. I don't want this show on the main channel. There's too much on there. as it is. And yes, I wanted a staple show
agree.
on Overbooked, and that's why I wanted to do this show on Overbooked. I want to do it as often as we did it, and I want to do it the way we have done it. And so far, I think it's going well, except I got to work with Joel 3 times a week.
If it's a staple show, does that mean you'll hit Joel Burrow in the head with a staple gun?
Sure.
You know, Joel, when did we film our skits? Was it last year or the year before?
No, it was last year.
I've still got like 10 skits.
It was
not edited.
It was Dynamite when AEW was in Toronto.
No. That was in October. This was before then. This was July when I was in for the Jays game.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
We've got year-old skits that we still need to edit. And let me tell you, they're pretty goddamn raunchy. I don't think at this point I could actually air them on Listin' Ya Boy.
Oh, you referenced it last week on Listin' Ya Boy, you and Jimmy. And I was listening like a day later when I was dropping my kid off at daycare, thankfully with my headphones on. And I'm just listening, and I'm just like, oh, those bastards. They talked about it.
Yeah, we should probably get on that. Joel still is Fightful champion. We'll see how long that lasts.
It'd be
No,
great.
long reign. Do we have t-shirts? Do we have 1,000-day t-shirts for Joel?
That would be actually pretty funny. But
I should probably count up how many days it's been.
I would very much like to make Fightful more of a style brand that hillbillies scroll past on Facebook and go, I'm Fightful, let me order that shirt. As opposed to Joel Pearl's head, which simply
Joel
just
Pearl's
makes you want to
face
fight people.
On a t-shirt.
I need new glasses. Maybe that would help.
Caden asked if I need you to edit the. I might, Caden. If you do it, I'm sorry ahead of time. I don't know. I'm out of here. Goodbye.
That's fine.
Bye,
Caden's going to
Sean.
be at Dynamite again, so there you go. Hope you have fun. Tremendous lineup. Lots going on. We have been over time. This was a great show. This was a fun show.
It happens.
Yeah, no, I know.
It was fantastic. Shout out to Andrew Zarian for joining us for basically the entire first hour as we broke down the Collision deal. We waited on it. We speculated on some stuff, and then once we got confirmation on stuff, we talked about what that meant and what it could mean for AEW. And big shout out to Spencer Love for joining us for a good chunk of the second hour, talking about his promotion and content creation and everything. Great job today, Joel Pearl. Great job.
It's a great show. I'm really happy with it, and I hope y'all were too. If you're happy, leave us a thumbs up. God, I'm so late into this to tell you, but go ahead, do that. Tell your friends to go and watch this show. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern until around noon. It really depends how much fun we're having. Sometimes we go long. That's just where it goes. No one else is coming up after us right now, so that's okay. But if you want to take in more content here on Fightful Overbooked, we have stuff dropping every day, whether that's Tag Talk. We talked about Tag Talk with Haley and Kylie, or you want to watch Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. That's on Fridays. You want to do Indeed with Righteous Reg and Mike. They run on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. I was having a brain fart there. Kate and I do a show, Kate and Joel at 8, or Joel and Kate at 8 on Sundays. That's a fun show to do because we just kind of talk shit about wrestling for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and we just have fun about it. And then there's so much more. Just go take in everything. There's FMC on Tuesdays. If you want some non-wrestling, more NBA and reality TV focused commentary from Jeremy and SP3 from True Heel Heat, come and toss us a like and maybe subscribe to this channel. We're here all the time. Jeremy, do you have anything else to plug?
All our interviews are cut up, and I said this on Twitter, but I want to say it here because we have a very large audience today with the Punk rumors and Collision and everything. Shout out to first Joel, who I'll say nice things about. He can clip this and use it for nice things.
Put on my fridge.
Yes. Joel does a great job in setting up the show, doing the audio, doing the thumbnail, just making my life generally a little bit easier when it comes to this show and putting it all together and booking people like he did today. Shout out to Kyler, who cuts all of our interviews and uploads them to YouTube for me, and I can fill in the extras on it later. And shout out to Gisberto, who does the thumbnail for the interviews, not only for the interviews for this show, but for Spotlight, and does the Spotlight thumbnail as well. So it's little things. They go a long way for someone like me, who I try to do a little bit of everything myself, but I am also doing a lot of everything too. So I appreciate that when I don't have to worry about little things like that it gets taken care of. And they do a lot of great work, and they help me out a lot on that. So yes, I'll say nice things in front of a big audience, and I'll continue to bury you when just our hardcore in the weeds listeners are here. So good job today, Joel. Good job.
Thank you, Jeremy, and a good job to you too. This was a fun episode as always, and we'll be back on Friday. Until then, I am at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and your Thursday, and we'll see you again on Friday morning. Until then, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.